Hi, friends. All right, let's continue on. Chapter 3, The Adventures of Captain Underpants, written by George Beard, cartoons by Harold Hutchins. Oh, guys. It's the actual comic book, so let me reposition myself a little bit so you can see the screen. I'm sorry, you can see the book on the screen while I read. The Really Cool Adventures of Captain Underpants, written by George Beard, drawn by Harold Hutchins. It says drawn, it should say drawn. It was a time of darkness and despair for planet Earth. Bad guys had taken over the streets, and all of the superheroes in the world were too old to fight evil. Hey, ha ha! Then along came a new, improved, extra strange superhero. Tra-la-la! Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an egg salad sandwich. No way. I'm Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants was faster than a speeding waistband, more powerful than boxer shorts, and able to leap tall buildings without getting a wedgie. Tra-la-la! Night and day, Captain Underpants watched over the city, fighting for truth, justice, and all that is pre-shrunk and cottony. Meanwhile, at a nearby elementary school, turn the page, it was Stinky Taco Surprise Day at the cafeteria. Yuck! Everybody hated it so much they all threw it away. Soon the cafeteria food came to life. I am the inedible Hulk. The monster ran around the school eating everything in sight. Munch. Help, the inedible Hulk just ate up 15 folding chairs and the gym teacher. And the principal says, oh no, not the folding chairs, as he doesn't care about the gym teacher. This looks like a job for tra-la-la. And all the kids say, Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants shot lots of underwear at the monster, but it didn't do any good. Munch, munch. He's just eating the underwear. An underwear-eating monster. So funny. So Captain Underpants took off running. The inedible hunk chased him. I think I said Hulk before. It's inedible hunk. Sorry, guys. Grr, help! And chased him. And chased him. Finally, the inedible hunk got too tired and thirsty to chase Captain Underpants. How about a nice drink of water? So the monster took a long drink from a shiny white bowl. Guys, the shiny white bowl, you see it? You see what it is? Yeah, okay, you see it. Gulp, gulp, gulp. When suddenly, flush. Hooray for Captain Underpants! And so the inedible hunk got flushed away and was never heard from again. Tra-la-la! The end. Don't miss our next exciting adventure. By the way, exciting, spelled wrong. Sometimes they spell words wrong and it's left in there because it's Harold and George's work. Captain Underpants and the Attack of the Talking Toilets, coming soon to a playground near you. Chapter 4, Mean Old Mr. Krupp. Do you see that old guy looking out the window up there? That's Mr. Krupp, the principal. Now, Mr. Krupp was the meanest, sourest old principal in the whole history of Jerome Horowitz Elementary School. He hated laughter and singing. He hated the sounds of children playing at recess. In fact, he hated children altogether. And guess which two children Mr. Krupp hated most of all? If you guessed George and Harold, you're right. Mr. Krupp hated George and Harold. He hated their pranks and their wisecracks. He hated their silly attitudes and their constant giggling. And he especially hated those awful Captain Underpants comic books. I'm gonna get those boys one day, Mr. Krupp vowed. One day. Very, very soon. And here he is sitting at his desk, and it says, kneel here. He can kneel at his desk. And chapter 5 is called One Day, Very, Very Soon. Remember when I said that George and Harold's silly streak got them into big, big trouble once? Well, this is the story of how that happened, and how some huge pranks and a little blackmail turned their principal into the coolest superhero of all time. It was the day of the big football game between the Horowitz Knuckleheads and the Steubenville Stinkbugs. The bleachers were filled with fans. Here's George and Harold. Jerome Horowitz Elementary. See our big football game today. The cheerleaders ran onto the field and shook their pom-poms over their heads. A fine black dust drifted out of their pom-poms and settled all around them. Give me a K, shouted the cheerleaders. K, repeated the fans. Give me an N, shouted the cheerleaders. N. Give me an Achoo! Sneezed the cheerleaders. Ah, 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 achoo! Repeated the fans. There's a picture to go with it. The cheerleaders sneezed and sneezed and sneezed some more. They couldn't stop sneezing. Hey, shouted a fan in the bleachers. Somebody sprinkled black pepper into the cheerleaders' pom-poms. I wonder who did that? Asked another fan. The cheerleaders stumbled off the field, sneezing and dripping with mucus on the marching band as the marching band members took their places. But when the band began to play, steady streams of bubbles began blowing out of their instruments. Bubbles were everywhere, up and down the field. The marching band slipped and slid, leaving behind a thick trail of wet, bubbly foam. Hey, shouted a fan in the bleachers. Somebody poured bubble bath into the marching band's instruments. I wonder who did that? Asked another fan. Soon the football teams took the field. The knuckleheads kicked the ball up. Up went the ball, higher and higher. It went. The ball sailed into the clouds and kept right on going until nobody could see it anymore. Hey, shouted a fan in the bleachers. Somebody filled the game ball with helium. That's what they put in balloons, the ones that stay up for a few days. And that's also what's in a hot air balloon that flies. I wonder who did that? Asked another fan. There's the football. And there's the bubbles coming out of all their instruments. Oh, and there's a sneezing cheerleader down here running off the field. But the missing ball didn't make any difference because at that moment, the knuckleheads were rolling around the field, scratching and itching like crazy. Hey, shouted the coach, somebody replaced our deep heating muscle rub lotion with Mr. Prankster's extra scratchy itching cream. We wonder who did that, shouted the fans in the bleachers. There's the picture. The whole afternoon went on much the same way, with people shouting everything from, hey, somebody put sea monkeys in the lemonade, to, hey, somebody glued all the bathroom doors shut. They are pranksters, those Harold and George. Before long, most of the fans in the bleachers had gotten up and left. The big game had been forfeited, and everyone in the entire school was miserable. And the sign in the beginning of the chapter said, see our big football game today? And now it says, boy, our feet smell bad. Everyone was miserable. Everyone that is, except for two giggling boys crouching in the shadows beneath the bleachers. Those were our best pranks yet. Laughed Harold. Yup, chuckled George. They'll be hard to top, that's for sure. I just hope we don't get busted for this, said Harold. Don't worry, said George. We covered our tracks really well. There's no way we'll get busted. Busted is a synonym for, getting caught. And my friends, I just want to point out, that's the end of the chapter. We're going to stop there for today. But I like to point out, as I did when we read the BFG, and there was all those different synonyms on that page that I attached that you could work on with the nonsense words. But it says laughed Harold, and in the next sentence, it's chuckled George. It's great to use synonyms back to back as opposed to repeating that same word over and over again, just to make it more interesting for the reader. And here are Harold and George chuckling, laughing underneath the bleachers after everybody else is miserable from all their pranks. And it ended with, there's no way we'll get busted. And chapter 6, which we will read tomorrow, is called Busted. All right, friends. See you next time.